do try it. Today, I realized that I don't always really try it, so apologies for that. That's number one. Number two is this, that's what I would call the learning path. So if you go here, and I will also give you the link so that you can open it independently here on chat. From Brazil and from Vilnius, Latvia, Lithuania, Simonas. Very nice. Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. I'm giving you the link here. That is what I call educational path. And I will open it here, right? And you will see a spreadsheet of a very special structure. First of all, there will be the name of the course. Most of these are really courses on deep learning. Some of them are from Coursera, some of them are just YouTube videos, and some of them are from Jules White from a university. Okay, Vanderbilt University. So by now it has this number 67. That's the number of the lab. I'll show you where it is, but it's about 100, almost 100 courses, and none of them repeats what the other said. All of them are useful for technology. It may be the same technology from a different company, or it may be a different technology from different companies. So if you want to become kind of an expert, just learn all of them. Now, that is this column. This column is what it is about. This column is the actual course. So we can click, and we will click on one, the latest, at least that. But if you scroll to the right here, okay, then you will see that I copy all the material into our repository here. So let me show you what it looks like. That's an open repository, OpenAI Lab. It's called, but of course, by now, there are lots of other themes there. It comes quite complete. It has the README, how to run the first time. So this one maybe doesn't, but usually they do have the first README. Let's look at one of the latest here. There should be under the labs. Ah, no, okay. I want to show some representative one, like this Bedrock. Okay, so that's how you run it for the first time. Let's open. It tells go to this project directory, create your specific virtual environment, give me the keys. The keys, of course, are not shown. The keys you would have to obtain. For the class, when I'm running the class, of course, I give the keys, but that's a special story. That's when you run it the first time. Now, every next time, you just how to run, and that usually is just activate that environment and Jupyter Lab. That's how they are all structured. So it's very convenient, a lot of material, and you can also get it from the source material itself from that link. So that tells you that you need to add a few, like cooking, you need to add a few elements to the recipe. And that's what has been added, verified here, perhaps updated if the material was updated later on. And then you have a few people to check that. All right, that's me. And first came Neta and then Emily. So together we verify that the lab is okay. And when I put it into my course, it's still a copy-paste operation into the course with all of the keys. That is what we usually do. Now I can close that. That's what people often ask, where should I start? And the answer is just go here. Start from the very beginning, and as the king in Alice in Wonderland, where she asked, how should I read? He said, start from the beginning and proceed and keep reading until you come to the very end. All right, that jokes aside, today is March 21st, and first of all, OpenAI gives us more tools. So let's look at those tools and let's see what they do. So that came to me as an email. but they give you the links. So it turns out that all these wonderful tools that they have, you can now access programmatically, meaning this. If you go to ChatGPT, okay, then you can say, use your web search tool and find out what's new in, well, let's look at our next subject. In AI Dev 25, okay? And by the way, I like Canvas, so present results in Canvas. So what I'm doing here is asking for two tools to add to your regular ChatGPT. And it does it. It says searching the web, finding out all about that particular conference. And they talk about what was new, what was in that conference. And I found about this conference maybe yesterday because it was running yesterday. So we'll try to look at that. But then presented in Canvas, I think it ignored me. But in any case, what I wanted to show is that there are tools that come in addition to just ChatGPT. So if you are here in ChatGPT, there are many, many layers. And what you get when you build AI, and that's what they do. The AI Dev 25 was for developers, and these developers are into building things on top of AI. All right. So how do you do it? When you talk to any model, it's limited in what it does. What you see here is much more. There are tools in addition to that that you don't quite see. Now you do see them. Now you control them. Let's go back. We were right here, right? So that's what they do. They give out their internal tools. The whole thing is called Responses API, and that allows you to add these tools to the application you're building. For example, you can add web search. So I just used web search. How exactly do you add the search? They tell you how you do it. You tell it which model to use. They tell you how you write that little function, and they also tell you how to include that function into your application or into your dialogue or your use of ChatGPT. So usually when you build these applications, they give you more control. You write down how to invoke the tool. You also look at the parameters. For example, you can supply whether it is using the location of the user or no. That's what you can add. And then also you can limit the context side. So that's what is different when you just chat to ChatGPT, you chat, no parameters set. But here you're much more controlling in what you do. Okay, and now these tools are here. I have not done much. I mean, I should. I promised that I tried. 314 was a week ago, so I should have done it. I have not done it. So I think that what I should do is this. Let's copy that and prepare for the next time. And part of that preparation will be that we will set up the date a week from now and definitely say now build something. Right? Build something. That's what we should do. Okay. What else? Looking at these tools, what other tools are there? Well, we saw what other tools are there. That was web search, file search, okay? Easy to use tool that allows you to search with just a few lines of code. File search available in the Responses API. In other words, start using that and it will work. Computer use sounds just exactly like Anthropic. Anthropic opened this computer use where you give the computer control over your computer. And that seems to be the case now here, but let's check. Is that really the case? Computer use, a practical application of computer using agent. Yes, that's what it is. And we are interested is ChatGPT computer use is the same as the application from Anthropic. So let's ask that. Too many tools open, but maybe I close. Okay, chat is open AI computer use tool, the same as computer use by Anthropic. The best attempt at spelling, but if I miss it, it's still okay. It understands me. The core idea is similar. Okay, they're not the same tool. So something like it, right? Anyway, there are more and more tools, so they show the differences. Very nice. Very nice to have AI, of course, and you will still have to do a lot of work. So in this argument, is it going to kill us or we're going to live together? Happily ever after, I think is the second. All right. All right, that's enough. I think that we have set up what we want to do next. We want to build something with that, and that will be fun. The next is coming from Andrew Ain, Visual Agent. Now, Andrew already showed that what happened is that I asked for it. So you can try it for free. It allows you to analyze pictures, and it allows you to ask questions about those pictures. Supposedly better and more precisely than ChatGPT. So you can try it for free. What I want to see is this, the visual agent. I think I asked for it. Let's see. Visual agent. Right? Yes, I did get an email from them and they said, yeah, it's here. And not only that, we give you the permission. You can start. Here are the things you can do. So you remember maybe the wonderful demo by Andrew Ng, where he says, computer, look at that shelf and look at all the cereals there. Find only specific brand, and it finds specific brand. And then he talks to it again and again. Find me all airplanes with two engines, and it finds all airplanes with two engines. So now I have the actual response from them 6 days ago, which says, Mark, you can build. Well, the very natural thing is, let's look at that. These are the demos. Let's look at the top left, of course. And now you can probably ask something about this picture. Run now. It seems like the tool prompt is batsman. So as Andrew explained, the story takes a little bit of time, but it finds the batsman number one and the batsman number two. Now, being a foreigner, I don't even know what we're talking about at all, but at least I see, you probably will tell me. But maybe I should ask what is this batsman, but we see the idea. Okay, well, now that we have it, we should absolutely try. So for the next time, we should say build something with that as well. I'm just thinking how much time will pass before I will ask ChatGPT to act on it. But okay. The next question was, you guys asked, what is the recommendation for cost competitive service to run different models without installing on my machine? So I asked a guy who has the experience, and I have to say, yes, it is the ChatGPT who has the experience. I asked him here, and I thought it's okay. It's okay for us to ask it, because after that, we can talk. We can say, okay, that was its input, but what will we say? Okay, so he says, yeah, he knows all these things, and then he outlines pros and cons. That's what is interesting. So pros is that indeed it does multiple models: Claude, Mistral, Llama. Okay, enterprise ready, yeah, that's the whole purpose. That's an enterprise application, integrated workflow, and you don't install it. That's the plus. The minus, it is don't try it at home. In other words, it is maybe doing what it's doing, but at a price. So who else? Who else can do it? There you are. Replicate can do it on pay as you go. Perplexity um, can do it too, and it's a popular engine for AI, and Anyscale and Grok. That is what we should absolutely try, because Grok is making noise because it's the guy who makes electrical cars and the guy who bought Twitter. In any case, I think it's interesting. And now I have a question to you guys. So in the chat here, so I can give you that link. You may be able to use it here. And the question is, do you see that? And is that, what was your purpose? What was your purpose in asking that question? Okay, so if you remember why you asked this question, yes, the answer is yeah, you can use it, and you can use it even for enterprise trained application. You can use it because you want to try different models. But beyond that, well, tell me if you have any recollection of why you asked this question, then we can go any further, right? Now, my personal experience, I usually use ChatGPT. I have to admit, I don't experiment too much with others. I go on Azure, and in Azure, I have approval for security projects. So in Azure, in the government part of that, I run even project with high security. The same goes for Amazon. Amazon government, that also works. That's why I don't venture too far. I should, maybe. Right, let's see. Somebody says something. You think it's Grok, not Grok, Anastasia. That's what you think, but I'm surprised. You know that when you catch ChatGPT and it's simply mistaken, then it's a typo. Very funny. Let's check. Let's say that. See if we can continue the conversation. And ask that as a question. There you are. That's its style. Just says absolutely shamefacedly, good catch. Yes, it is Grok. How could you make such a mistake? Hey, Anastasia, do you agree? But actually, it does not the same, right? There are multiple models with a Q. And this one is Elon Musk. Wow. So you know what? We need to take your advice, copy that, and put it on our next time here. Okay, we'll do it. Very good. The next piece of news is that data analytic course. The course is advertised by Coursera, and it's not a course in a specific technology. So let's open that. Let's go right here and see what it is. Well, I prepared a special go to this place that was interesting. What did they want to do? But what they wanted is give a foundation of multiple analytics techniques. Now, I personally have a little bit of a problem there because it looks a little bit like old stuff. Today, you would try to use AI everywhere. For example, like storytelling. And I had some problem with teaching people storytelling because I'm not into storytelling. So I wonder what would that be? Well, okay, let's go into course details and see if they use AI for that. We want to know more. We want to find AI as a word. And I think we don't find it. There you are. Well, okay. So I'm surprised. To me, it looks like an old course, even though it's advertised on the Coursera. But to me, it's repackaging old stuff. And the fact that they emphasize the salaries, yes, just confirms my suspicion that you will get a certificate, which costs you, I think, $75. You can take the course to start with, but I think it is repackaging that. I'll tell you, I have a story with that. I'm supposed to teach Amazon data analytics. I looked at their certificate because that's what I need to teach. And it looks like there are a few of them. Some of them already include AI. So I will know very shortly if I'm teaching it, and then I will confirm and tell you about it. So here, my story of teaching AWS machine learning for a certificate, and I will tell you later. All right, so that's touching on the new courses. Surprisingly enough, this week there was no additional course from Andrew Ng. All right, what are the news in general? That's here. And the general news, I think, was this conference. That's when I heard about it. And the conference was in person in San Francisco, of course, and it was for building applications. Now, I thought that's exactly what I'm doing, and that's what exactly I think everybody in the world should do. And that is the point of view of Andrew Ng as well. So they talk about that, and it turns out that there is access if you are into that. And that's why I saw the data analytics certificate. But if you're into that, you can find out what did they talk about and what are the most popular ways and means to do applications. That was one of the interesting things that happened this week, the conference. And of course, they talk about what's copyrightable, what's not, but that is a matter of some high level interest, not so much for us. And that one, we looked at it last time, long-term agentic memory with long graph. You know that ChatGPT remembers something that you said. You ask, what's your name? And it remembers. Well, there is a limit to that. Current limit, I think, is 128,000 tokens to ask and much less to answer. That also depends upon where you are, because if you're on at OpenAI Azure, then the limits are much, much lower. We break our documents into very small pieces, and that's how we work with them. Well, if you're building your own, you can use all the memory that you can get and even put what you were talking about in the database and even use it in the conversation. So that's what that course was about. I think we showed that course last time. If not, then we remember what it was about. It was that you can not only add the memory as a buffer here in memory, and not only use length chain longer term memory, but with LangGraph, you can use a lot and lot of memory remembering that. One trick in doing this is summarize it. Tell it, that's what we were talking about. By the way, summarize it. That is an old trick, and we have already spoke about it. All right, here we are. And the last piece of news was exactly that conference. Okay, so I just showed that to you, but that is an interesting place where the actual conference is happening. So now to go a bit more, we can go and look at the schedule, and that will tell us what they are going to talk about. So first of all, Andrew Ng is the, so to say, godfather of that, and then everybody brings their own wares. So Google brings theirs, but in the end, there will be um, uh, what's popular. How do you do it? So first of all, what's popular is agentic. And then I just saw an interesting piece of news that agentic is passé, it's old stuff. Where did I see it? It was on the LinkedIn, and it was my favorite guy, Schmidt. Here, Philip Schmidt. Okay, and he talks about that multi-agent systems fail often. Well, that was also my own experience when I'm running Amazon labs, and they look fantastic on paper, but when you really run it, maybe it's not so stable. That's, I think, the code implementation problem. All right, let's go back. So we said that it's a very popular architecture. So previously, the most popular architecture was the RAG. By now, it is some passé. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, and the whole idea is store all your documents into a smart database or vector database or database by meaning, okay? And ask it questions. That's how you can build AI. Well, the next step is agentic, where you don't build just one. You build multiple agents and let them interact, and that's like a course that's becoming smarter and smarter. We did have a course on that. Okay, just recently we had a course. Let's go back to our learning path, and at the very end, I'm quite certain we have this agentic somewhere here. Now, what was very good about that course is that uh, it was complete. It was nothing like agentic, but it runs in the Amazon and you don't really see it. Now, that was a complete agentic. It was somewhere here. Well, let's find it. Yeah, and that was exactly the course. So if that was the course, I think what we should do is revisit that, run it, and show it. And that will be our next week. So agentic, revisit, and a real theme. That's what we will run. All right. I think by now we did cover quite a lot. We also have prepared. What I will do is this. I will go to chat. Is there an upper limit on how much can be stored on RAG? Great question, Lance. And the answer is practically no, because a RAG is based on a smart database, smart, meaning it's really a NoSQL database, but with some addition. So you can search that by meaning, not by keywords. But at the bottom, it is still a NoSQL database. Well, NoSQL databases, they come in different shapes. The one that I have in mind is Cassandra. Cassandra has almost no limit, and there is an addition of Cassandra where you can search as RAG. But practically, that's not the largest database in the world. So let's just ask this question real quick. How much data can you store in Cassandra? Chat. How much data can you store in Cassandra? Cassandra is open source, it is free, so that's a good example. And they have a course on that. Okay, unlimited in theory, that's nice. But I work with the chief architect of Cassandra on one course a while ago, and he pointed out that all those theories are very nice, but in practice, he knows very well the limitations. He knows what are the best ways of storing exactly the data. And one interesting trick that he uses, the data should be square as possible. What does it mean? It should be pretty much as many rows as there are columns. That, he said, works best for performance. And from there, I learned that go into the real practical implementation. All right, what does it say? 1 to 4 terabyte of data without performing issues. Okay, so that is the answer to, okay, so Rajagopal says that Cassandra is NoSQL, not a vector. Now, here I will have to disagree because they just published a vector DB based on Cassandra. Now, if you don't mind, I will ask a question rather than me going here or there. Is that statement true? Let's just see. So it seems to support you and not me. Yeah, maybe I stand corrected, but let us still ask this question. Okay, you know what, Rajagopal, I might be wrong. Okay. But, okay, well, the real question was how much can you store? Okay, thank you. How much can you store? We're talking about terabytes. And I want to say Cassandra is bigger, but that's probably okay. It's probably similar. Well, of course, we could ask you a question directly. How much can you store in the RAG database? But that's too deep. It depends upon specific database that you're using. And as chat says here, there are quite a few choices. So I hope that's enough to discuss that. And I think we pretty much discussed everything that we wanted. I got your feedback. I really, really appreciate it. As I told you, for two reasons. Let's talk, let's chat, let's discuss. That's the whole purpose of a webinar. And let's come up with something new. And I learn new things from you, just as you learn something from me, and the other way around. So, okay, everybody have a great, great weekend. Yes, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And have a great weekend and a great year. All right. Hi, Walter from Boston. Oh, very nice. It's just because you found my mistake, so you're very nice now. Thank you in turn. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, goodbye, be well.